Order here, and it's 5:05, so sorry about the 5-minute late start. And so for a roll call, we've got
Rob Risberg.
Rob.
Mark Goldman.
Tom's on the line,
Kyle Riefler, City Manager.
and Ron Sagani. Can I get approval of the agenda?
The only, I saw one thing, you know,
The agenda, and then we'll get to
oh, the
minutes.
agenda, I'm sorry, yeah. I move for approval of the agenda.
Okay,
I second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, then the agenda passes. Now, approval of the meeting minutes from last week.
So the only thing I saw, right off, it says that it's chaired by Tom Elliott.
Oh,
That was the only discrepancy I saw from last week.
all right, so I'm just gonna, Kyle, I'll just write on this and initial it.
Yes, I don't know how that got jumbled.
It's all right. Okay, any other comments on the minutes? Can I get a motion with the change?
I move to accept them.
So Mark,
Second.
second Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are passed. And we'll move to review updates to budget.
Okay, so what I included for this item is the budget message and policies from the manager. I added on the second page of the message a couple paragraphs. The first paragraph is talking about the anticipation of the property values going down some more with hopes that we level off in a couple of years. And then the second paragraph that I added explains the increases in personnel services, and it just gives a little background into what occurred over the last fiscal year when council had us review pay studies, comparables, and some of the raises were a little higher than the merit 5%.
Right.
So I wanted to just run that, see if you wanted to make any revisions. And then the other changes, Heather has them, but we're not gonna do the whole draft until we go to the next meeting for council. So she'll put it all together.
So this, I think, covers the spirit of some of the conversation we had about,
Yeah, I think so.
okay,
I'm open to any suggestions.
okay. And is there do we need a motion, Mark? Or just, it's just discussion item?
Yeah, just say Kyle presented the budget message and policy changes, and I don't think we have to accept them, do we?
So
I didn't
just,
see it.
yeah, we don't have to make a motion on any of these, so, okay.
Okay.
Great, thanks for doing that, Kyle. And then we'll move to the 5-year reserve projections.
Okay, so that is, starting with the graphs. What we did on the first page is we did a consolidation of the 4 funds to try to show where those balances all meet together and what amounts they combine to for our overall balance of unassigned reserves versus what is assigned. So this page is kind of a combined, but the reason that we keep them separate throughout the budget is because they need to be treated as separate funds because they have different purposes. Sometimes it gets confusing because we operate out of the general fund and a lot of transfers, when we need more injection into the other funds from the reserves come from the general fund and we transfer over. So you see a lot of movement, between the funds that all balances out. But it is a little bit more difficult to compare. And let's just kind of go through these. Heather put these together. This represents the general fund, the blue. And then this is the backup to how she got those numbers. And it traces, the next 5 years in projections. And, she's starting with the unassigned fund balance of the 4,228,545, and then from there, each year she's built in assumptions, just like that.
It's at the bottom of the page with the blue lines. Is her
Oh, they're there,
assumptions.
yes.
Yeah.
So, some of the things that we're doing year after year is we're estimating an increase in the revenue of 2%. We're estimating the increase, the constant merit increase 5% for the employee merit program. And we're also estimating a 5% annual increase in the operating expenditures. We think that's a good number to just anticipate over the years.
And the 2% increase in revenue is the average including the decrease, right?
Yes.
We go down,
Yes.
Well, I think
bottoms out and then starts up again.
what's important to note is ad valorem is about 35-40% of our total revenue.
Yes. Yes.
So we think other,
So with the taxes that we get, the revenue from waste, revenue from the
Fees.
marina,
Yeah.
all of that. And actually, marina isn't in these numbers, if I remember.
The marina is separate.
Separate.
It gets injected because it's its own enterprise fund.
Right.
okay.
But I think what's important to note is that ad valorem is a key, it's a concentration.
But it's not all.
But
Right.
it's not all of it. So I noticed that for 2026, we're still anticipating some FEMA money, but then it stops. But yet, we seem to have the projected revenue continues to go up. And is that just the 2% thing? Nothing more nothing unusual? No more government, federal?
No,
government
nothing
credits or
unusual.
And what the FEMA is, in talking with Kyle and Heather in advance, we spent about $1 million last year, and that we're still owed over
We're at
600.
580, I think, was
Yeah,
the
about
number.
600,000 is what's still owed back.
That was a
And,
big check.
Kyle,
425, we expect that this year?
well, Kyle is able to look in the FEMA payment plan and
Grant
sees
form.
that it's approved, but you just don't know when they're gonna write the check. So hopefully we'll get some of that in before the fiscal year's out at 9/30. But knowing that it's still out there, so it's
So
not.
these estimates, like this 1 million for this year, 1,015,000?
So that was everything that we put in and we spent, and then we're trying to get it back. We've gotten a little less than half.
Okay,
But we wanted to make sure that you're aware that we got some of it back, but not all of it.
yeah.
And a key
Cash.
point that Heather noted on the cover sheet on the consolidated, her first bullet point, is these balances exclude the $1 million reserve. So
Oh.
the city has 2 resolutions. One requires us to keep the 20%, so that's a city mandate. I always thought that was a state mandated 20%, but it's a city resolution that we have to maintain 20% of operating expenses at all times. And then it's a city resolution that we have $1 million hurricane reserve account.
Hurricane
And that $1 million is not in the,
Okay,
And
and that
combined-
number is not promulgated anywhere, we just
That-
came up with it?
My understanding was that number is in the unassigned reserves. It's just she's not pulling that out. You want me to verify that?
yeah, my understanding is it's not in this fund balance.
Okay, but it would be. It's in this number, right? In our reserves trend.
Well, I mean, I think what.
Like it's from what I understand, it's incorporated into this money, so we need to account for it.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, and
She
I'll
says
verify
straight
that.
out, if not,
It says on here, does not include the hurricane reserve amount.
Okay, let me verify that.
and then just for my own edification, what is the state requirement for reserves? If the city went 20% on its own, is there a state requirement?
You know, I always thought that what she was putting in there was, but she said that was by resolution. I thought that was a statute, so I'll find that out.
Well,
I know
maybe-
I was on a condo
Maybe
board
we
one
should-
time. Condos have a required, and they upped it recently.
Reserve, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there was a state number and we just pick that one as.
Maybe, yeah.
We'll find out.
We'll find it.
And then $1 million, you said how much did we spend in this last hurricane?
Oh, about $1 million.
Yeah, so 1 million is about the right number.
It's about the right number
For now.
this storm, but it could have been like 3 million if we really got an impact, like Fort Myers.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of.
So in retrospect, Irma cost us 250. And so closer to a direct, you know, this storm was 100 miles offshore and pushed water through.
Right.
But if it was a direct hit like Fort Myers, then it,
Place would be gone, so we didn't have
Yeah.
to worry about it.
Right, but what were the top winds we got here?
I'm not sure with Helene, but Milton was 100 plus.
Yeah, I thought with Helene, we only got like 60, 65.
Yeah, it wasn't even her. It was tropical storm. I was walking
Yeah,
around,
Yeah,
like,
but
it
Milton, we
wasn't-
broke
I
the
think
100.
gusts were 100 plus.
Yeah, but Milton wasn't as intense as it was made out to be. Luckily.
Well, it dropped, right? As it was at 5 out there in the Gulf, and then it started losing strength as it
turned,
closed
yeah.
in, and thankfully made the turn.
And since
Thankfully
it
for
hit
us.
down in Sarasota,
Yeah.
then
Yeah. It's hard to imagine it being worse, but it was. Other places, yeah.
Okay.
so important notes that she has here is that, you know, the general fund will be needed to supplement stormwater fund expenses. And, you know, I don't know if you guys saw it when we went through the budget, you know, stormwater fund brings in about 175,000 a year. And I think our debt service is 145. And then with all the projects we do, you know, the general fund is always funding stormwater.
Right. Until those projects get completed, and then it starts to pay itself off,
Right.
right?
And
Yeah,
then,
and we approved doing that.
yeah, and then in the general fund, she's only budgeted savings going into the capital savings projects. You know, like we reserve $5,000 a year for the F-150. We reserve money to paint the building. We reserve money, 22nd Street Bridge, Harrison Street Bridge. So all she's done in this forecast is what the annual kind of required, self-imposed savings that we do.
Right.
And-
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, it's a conservative estimate of
And then she's got
where things are going.
so every year, the general fund has to supplement stormwater fund expenses, and then the general fund will need to supplement capital project funds beginning in 2029. So those are important notes that she's got there.
Yeah.
So that was my notes on the general fund. You guys have any other
No, I don't have any.
thoughts there?
I don't have any other comments on that.
So I went through the rest of the notes on the general fund that she had put together, that, you know, the stormwater gets funded every year out of the general fund, and then in 2029, other capital projects would be funded. So again,
Right.
as Rob commented, it's very conservative
Yeah,
approach that she's done.
and then you know, you went over kind of like what we talked about with the paying off the loans. Or
We haven't gotten there yet,
discussion?
so, I mean, if we just go now to the capital projects fund projections. So Heather doesn't have any additional increase to the annual revenue on the capital project fund balances. 26 is artificially higher due to the Gulf Boulevard undergrounding project.
Artificially?
Well, we've gotten some money in, and now we're waiting on Duke to do the work, or we're waiting on our contractor to do the work, and then we'll resubmit.
Yeah, so
That's
it'll be a-
$900 and some thousand a year, and what I learned from Kyle, what he did well, is that they're paid, our contractor, our subcontractor laying the conduit, he gets paid they get paid when we get paid. So we're not gonna be out the money.
Oh, but
in
we-
advance.
No, I'm sorry. So we have to pay, and then we can
And then we get
immediately
reimbursed.
reimburse.
Okay.
But we don't, we have to pay that this year or next year and make the reimbursement. So where we sit now, we have our last reimbursement, which is like 930, I think, combined with Bel Air Shore. We have about 450 grand, I think, spent of that reimbursement we could grab back. We were hoping that we would get do the rest of the job this year to get the full reimbursement. So I can submit for what was spent in the last fiscal year. It won't be the full reimbursement, but Penny for Pinellas extended one more year. The deadline was September 30th this year.
Okay.
We have a whole nother year to spend, which
Oh, that's
most cities
wonderful.
need.
Yeah,
So it just gives us more time.
okay.
You know, it says it did not project any increased annual revenue, but it does increase when you get out to year 5 and 6, right? Or am I reading this improperly? It increases from
Yeah, I see what you're
28 to
saying,
29
yeah.
and to 30.
Well, it,
Oh, you know what that is? I think we have some, in our CapEx budget forecast, some real expenditures due then. And so I think it might be transfers from, what she said, there'll be transfers from the general fund to cover these capital projects.
Okay.
So that's what that revenue increase is.
because there's a, so why is the revenue number so much in '26?
Because that includes that almost $1 million of the
That's the-
final reimbursement.
Penny for Pinellas.
From the underground.
For the underground.
Okay, all right.
And then they stay relatively consistent, and then she does come up a little bit in 29
Yeah,
and 30. I'm trying to trace.
Yeah, I guess I look at transfer from other funds. 115,000
Yeah.
in 29 and 195,000 in 30. That's the difference.
okay.
Spreadsheet.
Okay.
You know, in the CapEx, it's the expenditures line includes our debt service. So you'll see each year that 145,000 in debt service.
For the building?
The building is paid off, so in 2023, you remember we went through an exercise where we went out and borrowed some money
Yeah.
to accelerate some
Right.
capital projects, so,
Yeah, this is on that.
yeah, it's the repayment of that.
Okay.
And that is through 2033 is what that debt's in place. But Heather told September is our last payment on the building, so after
We'll
this,
have the
after this
deed.
year,
We'll get a-
we can have a deed, we can have a mortgage burning party or something, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful that we, yeah, I mean, there was so much discussion about, I don't know, what they want us to do, tear it down or sell it? Somebody made some comments about something.
It was a prior administration.
Speaking of that, no, I don't want to speak of that. Forget it. I don't want to talk about that.
So, with the capital projects, the fund balance is gonna come down a little bit, and it will be funding, but that maintains the reserve needs for each of the fund accounts that we have for the different projects to stay on track.
Okay.
And then next is the
Now,
storm.
I'll ask her, but do you think that the injection in the later years is just to add more money after the debt service wears off the?
Her note is that the general fund will need to supplement capital projects funds beginning in '29 to maintain enough fund balance to
Yeah,
cover the
okay.
projected costs for
So
the
that's gonna be
following
the
year.
debt services, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure. Okay.
So it includes debt service, but I think there might, if I remember right, there's some step-ups in the fund balances in those outer years.
Okay. Yeah, because there are, the revenue that we get from the disbursements that come from like the capital project, like the penny disbursements, those kind of come in throughout the year and they grow somewhat. So we're compensating for a possible decrease maybe on the ad valorem by some of those increases, if you asked about that conservative
So
revenue projection.
that's a good point that you bring up. Do we expect the amount of money available from Penny for Pinellas to go down because the bed taxes are much less
We
now?
don't right now.
So that's sales tax, penny for Pinellas is sales,
Oh,
it's the
sales
extra
tax.
1% on the sales tax, it's not the hotel tax.
Oh, on
Yeah,
sales
that's
tax
tourist
only?
development.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's.
Well, there's
it
sales
would be
tax
the-
tied to,
Would be the same effect for us. It would be less revenue,
if
It-
sales taxes in Pinellas decrease.
yeah. And they would decrease because less people can come and buy things and pay sales tax.
Well, but it's also, it's you and I, every time we go
Well,
shopping,
I
and
know,
every
but
car you
I
buy.
wonder how much of it is,
We're
tourist
predicting or
related sales.
forecasting more of
Sure.
a local decrease just because of the storms, but we're
Uh-huh.
not projecting like an overall recession.
no,
If that's
I'm just curious, is it gonna be 1 or 2%? Less sales tax that,
So I don't think these
Because
future
of-
years have any penny for Pinellas projects in them.
The new project is not announced yet. That's supposed to be in 28, 2 years out. So they have to plan that.
so they
So
have.
there
them-
should be a project coming through.
Okay.
But they have all the money that we're hoping to get.
That comes
They have.
every year.
Yeah,
And then,
but they have.
so for Penny for Pinellas, they give allocations yearly for capital projects that you can spend on whatever in your capital projects fund, as long as it stays in that fund, is used for capital. And then they give you like the Penny projects, which this last one was the underground
Underground,
project.
yeah.
And that's like a separate amount that has to be specifically used for
Yeah.
what they say it has to be used for, before it can be used on anything else.
And they budget and have that money reserved.
Yes,
once they
that's what I
allocate.
meant.
Yeah.
It is
So like the
already,
undergrounding project-
it's already reserved.
Yeah, we'll get
So
what
the-
they've committed.
The
Yes,
economy
that's
doesn't
all right.
affect.
Where are they getting the money for this? Now, the county
For
is gonna
Penny-
take on the sand renourishment.
So that's the tourist bed tax.
Okay, so
And
that's a different,
big fund that goes into a lot of different, like the baseball teams and the stadiums
Yeah,
and all that.
okay.
Okay.
so even that increase in expenditure, if they're gonna take that on, does not impact what
That
we're
will
gonna get.
not impact us.
Doesn't impact pennies. It doesn't come out of pennies for Pinellas.
No, that's
Okay.
TDC money.
Okay. All right. Stormwater?
So stormwater, you see the fund balance comes down a little bit, projects go up. You know, I think, again, she didn't project any increase to annual revenue. You know, we do have employees and operating expenses in the stormwater fund. So she's got the same increase on those expenses.
Are those expenses allocated out to the projects that the work is done on from a city perspective?
Well, it's allocated to the stormwater.
How many
Yeah, so-
hours we have employees working in stormwater? projects?
It's at 15% of their wages,
Okay,
goes to stormwater.
okay. All right.
So I think what we talked about last week that Kyle said we might be looking to accelerate a project is the pump on 9th Street.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be 600 and change, and that number still needs to be added
Yes, to this number. So
for 2026.
we, at our last budget workshop, we agreed to add it as a next budget year's project. And that would be for the 9th Street pump station. And the current project, yeah, is 660,000 is what we're projecting it to be. But in that workshop, the city council wanted us to do these projections so that we can discuss how we can fund an upcoming stormwater project and what our unassigned reserves are gonna look like if we do.
Yeah.
And can we afford to continue to pay our debt services and what will that look like? And the other thing that we talked about prior to the storms and this whole budget year discussion was we were talking about possibly paying off like a third of the time early on the loan, try to reduce that with early payments on principal. So we're kind of coming back to look at how, if we could do that and what effect that would have overall to our budget, if it's worthwhile, or we're also looking, if we don't do that, how much money is available that we can spend on an upcoming pump project, and then how much money are we still accumulating in our reserves and building for future projects? Because this pump project is more of started out as a pilot test project to see how it functions and learn from it. But before doing anything more elaborate or regional throughout the city, we need to do
Yeah.
a master plan study.
Agreed, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And
Okay.
the impact of that project will fall all within FY '26? It won't spread across two?
Realistically, it'll spread across 2 years. It could be done before the end of the next budget year, but I just.
Yeah, because it's just not gonna start till one, yeah.
As fast as you think.
And one of the good things is that our contractor, if I remember correctly, there's a resiliency monies available from FDEP, from a grant.
Oh.
And they believe that this meets the criteria. So Kyle and the team, along with the contractor, will be submitting for a resiliency grant from the
Brazilian,
FDEP.
Florida, and FDEP manages that grant.
So it could offset
That
some.
is the newer program.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there ballpark?
Well, we're looking at, it's a 75% grant,
Okay.
so that would be a significant
Great.
portion. of the
Yeah,
project
that would be
if we
pretty
can
good.
get it for some-
Then we don't need
400.
to discuss this
Other
anymore.
people's money,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, we're good.
And then we're also gonna apply for like management fees and things, because there's,
Sure.
paperwork to file and all that.
Yeah. That's great, okay. I don't see anything else in here.
So then as we move into the debt service summary, which is this spreadsheet here. So this just lays out the debt that we have.
Versus the capital projects? I mean, it's still titled Capital Projects Fund.
So those are the loans, the first three, A, B, and C are for BEI undergrounding,
Okay.
and they're also sustained by the assessment.
A, B, and C, okay.
And then the South State is that that our current that's out in the capital projects portion of the of our capital projects fund, and then we have some of it in the stormwater fund as well. And then a total. And so she doesn't have the building on here because
I
that
was
payment
gonna say,
came
where
off.
is the building captured?
So when you look at, since the BEI undergrounding is kind of self-sustaining, we'll not talk about the first three
Mm-hmm.
debt
Yep.
facilities, and then the two where we've got the South State and then the stormwater fund. So those combined are, is that $1,760,000?
Yep.
So the thought was, as Kyle said, well, if we kick out, we're 2030, we're 3 years out from maturity, do we prepay, which would be about $730,000 in principal at that point in time? I think in light of what we've learned through this storm, maybe we reserve cash, and that way, like the 9th Street pump project, and now we know if we do 9th Street and it's successful, there's some other streets that will need similar
Yeah.
projects done. What I liked learning is that our interest rate is 4.36%. So again, when we recommended to do it, it was still when rates were down.
Yeah.
The good news is that all of the cash we have invested through the state SBA program, we're making 4.4%. So it's a wash. The cash
Yeah.
interest earnings pays for the debt service. So if we took the cash out and paid it down, it'd be different if we were only making 2% on the cash and we were paying 6%. Then
Yeah.
You're right, Ron. You add $1 million to it, so she had pulled out.
Yeah.
That's better than I thought.
yeah.
So,
So
there's it's not a
So Kyle had asked-
timely incentive.
yeah, Kyle had asked me a year ago, at some point, and then the storm hit, would we all look at seeing, does it make sense to take some of our excess cash and prepay? So in light of what we're finding here with, potential new projects, the good news is our cash is earning equal to our debt service rate.
But we could probably expect some lower interest rates going forward.
Well, if rates come down,
That's, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
they think September, right?
Yeah, but that's probably only a quarter of,
if you lose 0.25% to 0.5%,
it's not that,
I mean, so the SBA rate at 4.4 today is right at Fed funds. Fed funds is 4.5.
yeah,
So it's, it's a realistic,
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, even that doesn't
Consideration
make me
mark.
want to go pay it off, anyway.
and the good news is,
So by the time the rate comes down enough, assuming, they do a quarter point cut or something in September, then they do that again in December, if things are going well. About this time next year is the time to look at that again and see if things have come down
well,
enough?
if, God forbid, if rates got to where they were post-recession, 2007, 8, and immediately post-COVID, when interest rates fell to 1, or Fed funds was at 0.25%. Well, then, that might be a time that we just refi
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then get a lower rate if we want, if we had new projects to consider.
and borrow money.
Well,
That's
that's, if we had
For
more
sure.
projects,
Yeah.
that would be a time to think about it, but I think in the meantime, what I like seeing is that we're very well capitalized with liquidity,
Yeah,
very conservative, and that, not knowing what all of our needs are, might be better just to sit.
that's, I'm pro cash.
Yeah.
Because there's too many unknowns,
Yeah.
right now. So, Tom, are you hearing us okay?
Yeah, no, I can hear it fine.
Okay.
Mark, you make a good point, I agree.
Just checking, yeah, okay. All right, so,
And is the amount of it, the interest rate being paid that we're earning off of the money in the state program, is that also tied to the federal interest rate? So if rates come down, will that earning come down as well?
Well, I can't opine if it's exactly tied to Fed funds, but I'm just doing a correlation
Yeah.
that
Everything.
the state rate is
Inflation.
4.4 today, and interestingly enough, Fed funds is 4.5.
Yeah.
So, and you look at the 10-year Treasury is 4.3. So even if you were going to go, okay, well, let's go lock it in for 10 years and buy a Treasury, I don't know if that's worth it
yeah,
or so or
I
not.
don't think so either, because I'd
Then
much
we'd be a
rather
bank,
have the
and we'd be
cash.
match funding like a bank. But I don't think,
You'd be good at that. Make money.
all right, so we've discussed the debt. Look back here.
So to answer the question that what prompted this discussion this week, right, was the suggestion last week that maybe we're gonna review all this stuff and see if we wanted to prepay
Consider,
some of this stuff. So we've now answered that question. Our recommendation is to hold what we got.
conserve cash for, let's see what other new
Okay.
projects coming up, and
I agree.
At least
and a
for
good
the
balance.
rest of the year, and then next year,
I mean, this is something we can revisit annually,
Sure.
this conversation.
Okay.
And then Kyle, on the capital projects, is that what we have here?
Okay. Oh, on the cap, all right, so we're doing the ranking. I took Vice Mayor Gunn's old ranking sheet, and he started up top with all the paving projects, and with this current stormwater project we're working on, one of the benefits was that we got all our street paving up to the yellow. So some of our worst streets that remain, you got, Bay Shore, parts of Hibiscus and some parts of Belle Isle. As you know, like there are some imperfections with those roads, but they're not to the point of some of the deterioration that we saw in other parts of the city with the older roads. So th-
Just,
we,
so I'm reading this thing correctly. What does it say for Howard there? Howard Drive, Gulf.
Gulf Drive
So
business,
the
so that
only
is the
repaving,
segment.
that little piece,
so the way
the
the
front end of the street.
that's not realistically how we'll set up the project, but when we did the surveying, the software breaks everything up into the segments. So we kept it that way because everything was based on like how much distance is it, so it determined how much sampling you needed to do. But we just wanted to keep the numbers accurate for those segments, but we don't plan on just doing like just little portions. Like if we were going to do Howard, we'd do both of those and make sense of it.
Okay.
That's just the only reason it's broken out like that. So I cleared off all the streets that had been done up through this project. So this is the remaining that has not been resurfaced in the last 10 years.
And this is resurfacing and valley curbs.
Yes.
Okay.
He combined them because it makes sense to
Yeah.
do them in one project.
Absolutely.
The capital projects I went through, and anything that we had done or was eliminated, like for instance, like the city generator we used to have on here, and then at one point through the council discussions, they said, let's take it off our cap projects for now. So I pulled some of the stuff off that got removed, and I also pulled off things that we purchased or the projects that we did. So this is where we're sitting, what projects we have in both general fund, capital fund, and then stormwater. The marina continues to have a project for like rebuilding docks and fixing the slips, but that just is like a savings program. It's just an ongoing, sort of similar to like the buoy replacement program. So it's not something that's going to build up and then we're going to have to expend it all in 1 year. Stormwater fund though, if you got to think if anything we add, talking about this pump project, that's going to be the $660,000 added to the projects portion of that fund, and then that fund also saves $50,000 a year for valley curb replacement, and that's an ongoing savings program. So most of the projects, capital projects, expenditures you'll find in the general fund, those are like vehicle replacement, equipment replacement. Things like the buoys, roof, painting the building. Some of that stuff, we had the building, originally it was built in 2010. 10. This one? 4.
I'm just going back to when the debt was taken out.
2004. Maybe they did it way in advance,
This building?
but it was finished in 10.
I was gonna say, it was here, I moved here in 15 and it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. They might have pulled the back. They started planning it way earlier.
They could have pulled the debt earlier, yeah.
So with this building, I'm sorry, what was I lost my
The painting?
But what I want to say is we want to focus on like in the out years, like the projects that are in the capital funds, because those are going to be more significant and they're going to make more of an impact when we need it. And when I say that, I'm talking about like the bridge. We have bridge repair and bridge replacement for both the 22nd Street Bridge and the Harrison Bridge. The 22nd Bridge, I mentioned to Saran when we met, this last storm did a lot of scouring to it. So we got a report saying, the scouring is getting more severe, so we have to do some work to restore it. I don't know how elaborate that project is going to be. Our engineering firm has the report and they're putting together a repair project. So it's something we have to understand how much work needs to be done. And when you look at the bridge, we're saving roughly about $100,000, keeping a rolling balance for repairs, and we usually spend about 10 to 15 every 2 years. FDOT does an inspection every 2 years on 22nd Street, and then we make whatever repairs are recommended.
Yeah.
The Harrison Street Bridge had a major overhaul to the walls, like all the seawalls got redone, and I need to check, but I don't think much was done with just the actual crossing of the bridge, but it's a very short bridge. I did ask for a report
similar to the FDOT report that's done on the 22nd Street Bridge. That's mandatory because of the length of it, but Harrison is not required to be inspected, but because of the storm, I asked to have an inspection done on it. The preliminary information was that it looked in good shape, above water and under. So that one looks like it did pretty well and is in good condition. Other things, just I got the bridge on my mind just because we did get that scouring report. And then when you look down and you see things like the streetlight program, there's a lot of money being put aside. I think we're up to 400 grand, 400 plus, to add streetlights. We continue to save for it, but right now I am demoing a new solar company. If you know, we were actually one of the first municipalities in Pinellas County to do solar lights, and that was at BEI. And that was Clearworld that did those lights. And we got those, what was it, 2019 roughly. We got a 10-year part replacement program built into those lights. So we're a little over half that. Our experience with those lights is they need a lot of upkeep. Within the first couple of years, we realized that we're having to repair probably 3 to 5 of the 31 lights yearly. Every time we do have a repair, we have to test it, we troubleshoot it with his name's Shoaib in Louisiana, and then he has to diagnose what that problem is and tell us, is it this controller, is it the battery? It usually takes at least 2 weeks to get a determination on the light, and then we're waiting on ship time, and then we have to rent a lift.
Yeah.
It's just not a good setup. We'll ride it out, obviously, we want to use what we pay for, but we're looking for a better scenario.
Well, wasn't there another company that came into the state? And I thought they just built a new headquarters here in Florida. And,
Let me grab that.
I forget the name of it, but they were over in Tampa, and they've already placed hundreds of thousands
That's actually
of these solar lights.
John Ryan's son. John, he's a member of the club, Metro Development. He does the big housing developments, and his son, it's his son's company
Oh,
that
okay.
he found that technology.
I don't
They're
remember.
doing a lot in residential developments.
Yeah, I read a big article recently about them.
So I want to get one of these put out back for us to demo and
Yeah.
play and test with and see how we like it. They use a nickel cadmium battery, I think. It's a different type of battery. They're a sole source provider because they have a patent on their technology. These are
They're a
a
sole
lot
provider
simpler
for the
poles if you
for
just
the
look at the
battery?
design of them. And the real nice thing about them is anytime there needs to be maintenance done on it, they're like an all-in-one switch out there's a box and the actual solar panel that comes off. Like when they need to replace parts, they replace everything at once in just one piece. It's
Oh.
15 pounds.
Okay.
And, it's not going in, rewiring
There's no
controllers, changing out
troubleshooting
batteries.
every-
You don't need 2 guys to take the arm of the light off.
Yeah.
Is it,
It's just a better setup.
are they wind rated?
I guarantee they got all their wind rating codes, but I'll get all that information.
We're saying the global headquarters is in southwest France, Fort Worth, Texas.
Keep your parts and labor warranty.
They have that, but then when he described how easy the change out was, I was like, we probably would stick to it in-house, but I'm interested in the price.
Oh, so that does not come with it.
It doesn't have to, but I'm imagining it's got a pretty good price tag on it. I just want to weigh it out to like what it would cost us to do it, so. Because this is a lot simpler of a change out.
Yeah, but every time you do, you're getting better at it.
These days, so my frustration is getting the parts when I want them.
But why is it taking so long?
So if you look at what the priority list is there a dollar amount? You said, hey, let's look at, here's what we need to,
So, all these have dollar amounts if you go
the
over to the
bottom's $5
totals.
million.
Where are you looking?
The bottom's 5 million, right?
Oh, over here. Total cost projected. Yeah, that total, it looks like it could be right, because it's adding up all the 2 bridge replacements, the HVAC. So, talking to capital projects, besides the bridge, you know, you got the high price tag on the streetlights, but again, we don't have to spend it until, you know, we feel it's the right time to be replacing lights with a you know, a plan. Right now, I want to just test the light, see if it's
Yeah.
a product we like, and then the reason I want to test it out here too is because we think that this street, Harbor Drive behind the building, is a very dark street that connects into another dark street, 9th Street. So when I asked that he places like a demo light, I asked that he places it in line with the lighting, you know, setup that would be done for that street. So it just makes sense.
Where else in Florida are they using it?
I will get all those.
I mean, they have a picture here for a parking lot.
There's,
Is that
I think
inland?
Temple
Is it on
Terrace
the-
is the actual picture that you
on
see on
the
the front
coast?
cover. That's, I think Temple Terrace is what you're talking about. But I'll get more on that. And then, I do know that at some point our condensers are gonna start going. So, you know, we're planning that we're gonna have to do a round of condenser replacement before we have to do any air handlers. But, you know, that will be an expense when they really get to that point. We wanna just keep them going. And then, you know, the last time we priced that, we were looking at if you were gonna overhaul all the unit condensers out there, then we had that price of, it was, we got 100 here, and total. Let me check my current budget book because I think that got up. Vice Mayor may not have the right number.
Okay, so this is a French company. And this may not be the one that I read about. I don't see where they,
Please see track. Okay, so I have, right now I'm up to a total of 165,000. And I had it 150, but some time's gone by and prices are going up, so I've been adding to it.
That's the condensers.
Yes. And when we start to run into problems, it's gonna be one unit. You know, it may not be them all at once, but
Yeah.
we just wanna be prepared to cover them if worst case.
are they on a maintenance contract now?
No, we do an annual overhaul cleaning service on it. And then, you know, we have a monitoring system. They come in, they monitor the levels and the gauges, like see how it's operating quarterly. And then, you know, they usually diagnose if anything needs a mechanical repair, then we have to coordinate that with like a train or another AC.
Yeah.
So do we have any of these street and curbs planned for next year? So this
No.
the million one that's on here is
Available?
still to be determined?
Yeah. Right now, you know, we're still saving for resurfacing, but in the past, we've always incorporated with some kind of work for excavating or doing projects, just to do it all at once.
Pardon me, I have a question.
Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, I had a question on the streets. Was there any, well, there were two actually. One, with all the lighting and so forth, are we dependent on a lot of overseas parts?
So the current lighting, I believe everything is made in China, but they're just a very slow turnaround. I don't know if it's a staffing issue, but when we have to diagnose and get parts, it does take a while. They usually say that they have to test the batteries before they send them out, so that's another couple days. So it seems like they have a warehouse full of this equipment, but I think it all gets manufactured in China.
All right, well, you just generally don't anticipate with the change in tariffs, there'll be a major jump in what you have to do to maintain the facilities.
Okay. That should affect them, but it won't affect our.
Because they're under warranty.
Right. Slow them down.
And another question, was there ever any consideration by council to add speed bumps?
There has been, there's been a lot of talk about traffic calming in the past 5 years. We did a traffic calming,
Studies.
study that.
And we voted,
published on our
actually.
website.
We even got to a vote. How many people would be interested in having the devices? When they tried, I think that got shot down.
Yeah, I think it was specific neighborhoods like our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then I think Bay Shore, because a lot of the traffic coming to and from the beach, when
Yeah.
Gulf Boulevard backs up, people
Yeah,
jump
they
off the
shoot
road.
around, yeah,
I think
yeah.
that discussion, that discussion turned to, having the sheriff's deputies being aware on those heavy traffic days to maybe sit on Bay Shore and
Yeah.
watch that, but I don't think there's, I
when
don't think the
people
residents,
questioned, it wasn't.
I don't think the residents wanted,
Not doing it.
speed control devices.
I don't think so either. I think
There was some talk on Hibiscus Drive West where I live of getting speed bumps.
well, it comes up, it does come up periodically.
If I remember correctly, when the sheriff deputy came and reported on their study of speed, really
It
the
wasn't-
speed,
They've never.
the speed limit is 25.
Yeah.
When you're standing on the street and somebody goes by you at 22, you think they're speeding. But the sheriff pointed out they're really not exceeding
No,
the speed limit.
exactly.
in most cases.
Every time they put a box or did some study of it,
Yeah.
they did have outliers there were some fast ones, but it was generally, there was very little speeding in their statistical comparisons. Like, so they've always given us the same story. They will always check for us. They will always do whatever enforcement measures we want them to do,
Yeah.
but they never show the data that there really is a speeding problem.
But I think, Tom, if the residents on that street have concerns, they should bring it to Kyle's attention, and Kyle can get with the
Alright.
sheriff to address some speed control. And
I can definitely, we can follow for speed control, and then, they did do, one of those speed tables down on Harbor by 1st and 2nd Street, but I'll tell you, there's 3 of them, and the residents that live there say that they don't slow anyone down. I don't know if it's just because of the design of the table or.
Well, they've worn down over the years.
But I mean, I get what Tom's saying, because Hibiscus gets a lot of that, people trying to bypass Gulf Boulevard
Oh,
as
sure.
well, cut down.
But, yeah,
What, is it a big deal to put in a box? Just to monitor what the speeds are?
No, they'll put in like something that's like incognito that'll pick up those cars as they go by. I can have them do those boxes if you want to test Hibiscus. I don't think they're going to pick up anyone really fast on that street, but we can do it.
like between Harrison and Belle Isle, or Belle Isle and Howard.
Probably running from Harrison down to 25th, right, that stretch.
Oh yeah, because after you get that last stop sign and
Yeah.
Morgan. Is it Morgan or 25?
Well, there's a stop sign at the corner of Hibiscus and Howard.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
one at the corner of
Morgan
Belle
and
Isle, there's one
Morgan.
at the Morgan, but not everybody
Stop.
makes a complete stop. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely a lot more rolling stop violations in Bel Air Beach than speeding. Because that, we do see people drive right
Yeah.
through the
Yeah.
stop signs.
Thank you.
Okay.
okay.
So, I mean, what we want to do and what we did before, it was just the exercise of, I guess, if, given what the scope of what these projects cover, like what do we rank as like, we see as most important, that if funds were diminishing or we didn't have as much, what would have could be more important versus what could be something that could drop off the list if we didn't have the money.
So are you asking it to pick specific streets?
So what he did before is
Ones
they
that
assigned a
are- Ones that
number.
are the worst, or?
Well, not necessarily the streets, because the streets they're indexed and ranked per the surveying software.
Okay,
But the capital projects themselves, these are all projects that reoccur, year after year, in anticipation of equipment that needs to be replaced, building maintenance that needs to be done, and then projects also get added to this. Right now, we don't have a project other than the pump project. But in looking at things that need money saved towards it, prior, you can see, if you just look at original line item and then line item, Vice Mayor Gunn had assigned numbers to the importance of what was a more important project versus what was not. And as you see, as I dropped off all the ones that were prior on here, which were a lot of them were stormwater projects, those are ranked a lot higher. That was for our lower numbers. He also did like a strategic plan update. So I understand where he's picking out a primary goal and a secondary goal, and this lines up with our strategic plan core objectives, which like the health and safety, the communication, the beach, and the fiscal responsibility. And I'm trying to remember but that's what the numbers are, and I can go get that if you need to see it again. But he also did a storm. It's a priority ranking, subjective council priority. I'm not sure if that was just where he was ranked. The council members were doing their own ranking.
oh,
But this was brought up because, this table Vice Mayor Gunn put together, and it was a way for him to prioritize what was more important versus what could go down the list and possibly be done later in the timeline.
well, that's, yeah.
But if I'm looking at it right now, like I mentioned, the things like the HVAC. I know that's important. And, when those go out, they're gonna have to be replaced immediately. Like I told you, we're gonna have a big project coming up on the bridge. Obviously, that's a huge one. We're gonna need the bridge functioning and safe. But when you look at something like the streetlights, there's a lot of money in there. But do we really need to go out and start adding streetlights everywhere to spend?
Because
Is
right
that a
now,
high priority?
we pay a lease to Duke, right? And
Yeah,
Duke fixes them and repairs them. If something's wrong, then they take care of it.
Yes, and working with Duke, you have to pay to rent the fixture and you have to pay for the power.
Yeah.
And their fees keep going up, but I will say, when their lights do not work, we report them, most of them get fixed within 24 hours.
Well, that's
It's a
pretty
fast turnaround. It's a whole different story than trying to repair a solar light.
And we're probably gonna have to, was that included in the undergrounding of Gulf Boulevard? Are the streetlights gonna be?
That's
back
completely
up?
separate. That streetlight program is all Bellard Beach
No.
savings.
Well, I mean, the ones on Gulf Boulevard.
Yes.
Those are not Ballard Beach.
Those
Oh.
are Duke Energy lights, and we don't want to touch those because right now, if we were to change the lighting, we'd have to come up to the current code.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, will the undergrounding will the streetlights be affected by the undergrounding?
They'll be connected to it, right?
They'll just get connected back.
So the way the undergrounding works is all the higher main lines
Mhm.
are going underground, but the secondary lines that feed the lights,
Oh.
you're still gonna have those.
Pole. Are they gonna have poles?
You're gonna have a pole. They're just gonna cut it right above the light. So your only option to get rid of those poles is to redo your lights on Gulf Boulevard, but that will raise the requirement of how many lights you need.
Well, it's just, I think if I remember, for example, the number of lights we had at BEI, if we went to code, it was doubling or tripling.
It's a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay.
when you talk about lights, we know streets that are very dark, but when you talk to residents, there's some feel that they need more lights, and there's others that like it the way it is.
Yeah.
So,
So I think, Kyle, from your perspective, I'd kind of like to hear, you see it day to day, so if you're wanting us to help you kind of rank what's important, I hear you say the HVAC, we're maybe on borrowed time till the condensers
yes.
go, and so we just need to be ready to spend that money, $160,000. 22nd Street Bridge, it's definitely going to be an immediate need.
That's the bridge is still out across on Buttonwood.
Half of it, right?
Yeah,
The one that,
they had two or
Yeah,
three on Buttonwood Lane. You go up, across the bridge, you turn right at Bluff, was it Bluff View or the first?
Harbor Bluff.
Harbor Bluff, the first street. Take that all the way down and you make a right-hand turn. And that bridge has been out.
it's like a huge problem,
It's
right?
going on 3 years now, I believe.
I think
Yeah.
it's a contractor
The
issue.
contractors,
Yeah.
they have multiple contractors. They even have a traffic light built in to direct people, because it's been one lane for all that time. The residents are just furious.
That's Largo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard them mention it.
So when we do get around to whatever it is, just need to make sure that whoever the
yeah.
contractor is, their responsibility to keep traffic flowing is.
That's gonna be a high
Prime.
priority for sure.
Yeah.
So after the 22nd, what would be your next? HVAC, 22nd Street Bridge?
I would have to put even the bridge before the HVAC just because it's, or travel and safety. Then things like, like the Bayside Park improvements, things like the beautification thing, that can easily go out. Painting the building, it's been about 15 years. We've touched up areas. We've touched up the seal, back and stretch. We have money. We're pushing out our truck replacement program because the cost of vehicles have gone up. Beach access improvements. The last time we used that money, we used it for the overwalks. They're now gone. The county did give us half the reimbursement for those overwalks. We may get a very small amount of replacement from FEMA, but it's not going to be a large amount. They will pay for additional mitigation if we put them back, like some additional braces in the ground so they don't pop out as easily, or they recommend like decking that won't pull off the frame as easy if the water comes up, but I don't know if that's really worthwhile.
So we de-rank that down a little bit and.
With all that's
deal
going
with
on
it-
with nourishment,
deal with
it
it
just
happens.
doesn't seem like a
Yeah, I would agree.
The roof, it's old, the flat roof up there, that will start to leak at some point. It's been holding up. But I don't know if it'll be do we need to replace that whole roof at that time?
Does the
Or can we
insurance
just-
company come to you and say, hey, we're not gonna renew insurance until you put a new roof on, because it's getting to that point? Once you get to 20 years old,
Yeah.
that's gonna happen.
Okay.
Yeah, they will.
The insurance company will, at 20 years old.
They'll do it on the commercial side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they just did a condo right across the water. That I know about.
No, we haven't run into that yet. Buoys are ongoing, but they're an expense, but they're not huge in comparison to these projects. But buoys do. We're looking at them this year. We lost 14 of 16 on the Gulf, and that's going to cost us about $18,000. So they're not cheap, and if you get storms that knock them out, they're recurring costs.
And where do they actually break?
They just break right off the mooring chain.
The chain
They do the best rig they can. They're on those helical anchors, and then they have a chain so where it makes contact with the sand. It doesn't wear out as quick, and then it has like some kind of stretch elasticity to it, so for the rising and lowering water. But they still, you know. Causeway lights, if you're looking at that, the county, whenever we have lights out, I have to report to the county, they bring out their equipment and then they send us a bill. So that's just as they go out. There's,
Which lights are these?
the Causeway light,
Oh.
it is number, would be 1917 on the left side. I'm thinking is just as far as, reworking his layout, I can arrange them kind of like what we're talking about,
Yeah, arrange
our
what you
priorities.
think is a priority.
And
If
I
you
can break
wanna-
off sort of, this is like a replacement program, so we can kind of move those to the side, because there's a little bit more flexibility with those things.
I think, is this something let's make sure we present to the council so they kind of know where the.
It was brought up, so I just want to kind of show them where we're at,
Yeah.
and then give them kind of like, these are our projects, and this is how they're weighing out in priority, and if they want to kind of piece in where do they think that pump project would be on that list, I would put it below the bridge, obviously, but it would be above things like painting the building and possibly some replacement. Maybe we stretch things out because we want to pay for things we feel are more important. I'll try to I'll make sure that it lines up with the strategic goal, like Glenn Gunn did. I don't understand his, exactly his weighted scale. I might be able to figure that out with the formulas.
I was gonna suggest that you cut some of these.
Yeah, that's what I
Right
noticed.
now.
When he presented this to me, I was like, whoa, because it's
Make
tough
this
to
thing
work
simpler.
with and print and.
I think I would just say, here's the top 5, here's, the next 5, and then here's the next 5.
If you
Yeah,
don't- if
but
you don't
just-
make the top 5, we're not considering it in this fiscal period, so.
Over the next,
Over the next
are we thinking the
2.
next couple, 3 years,
Yeah.
you right?
Yeah.
As far as what's our priorities.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about different projects, just in the last 3 years, we were talking about doing the walking easement, we were talking about doing the generator, and I think there was another one we dropped off.
Well,
But
there's the
things
boat.
come up, but they don't get prioritized.
There was the
they
boat.
drop off. At the boat, yeah. But, you find out.
You may wanna, I was thinking maybe you wanna have a prioritized list of your recurring things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
That, hey, we know we're gonna replace mowers or trucks or whatever.
But what's
Here's the
most
priority of
important,
those.
yeah.
And then of the other type projects, and then then you could have a consolidated, okay, here's how they rack and stack, consolidated.
It's kind of like infrastructure.
And you're always gonna have to respond if something on the list fails
Right,
before it's time.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is essentially why we do all these programs, because people sometimes ask, why are you putting all this money, it's just like an ongoing preparation.
Yeah,
sure.
We're constantly looking at it and they're ready.
Well, we all know it with our houses, right? They're money pits, just like the city's a money pit.
Life is a money pit.
Yes.
Life is in money.
That'd be good. I think if you kind of put some prioritization of what you think we should focus on,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Okay.
Tom, any comments?
No, I think it's sewage and stormwater are always the priority, but that's a different section entirely, right?
Well, we were trying to, sewer and stormwater, we're fitting in, it is a priority, it's up there, but when it comes to, damage to the 22nd Street Bridge, I have to put that above a new stormwater improvement project.
Sure, okay.
So at this point, are you guys, you're okay with me doing what we're talking about, kind of breaking them off into subsections of what type of?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's,
They are,
like
and then rank
what Rob
them.
said, here's the recurring things, and we know here's
Yeah.
what's coming up on the recurring things.
Absolutely.
And then here's our infrastructure,
Okay.
and here's our priorities under infrastructure.
Got it. And then do you want to get together like next week?
Happy to, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna be out of town, end of the week,
Okay.
but I'll be back the following week.
All right. I'll work on this, and then we got a meeting Monday. I'll update council. We'll try to figure out when we're gonna get back together as a council, and then we'll get our meeting scheduled before that,
Okay.
so we can finalize what we want to recommend to them.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good.
All right.
Any other general business for discussion, consideration?
Not that I have.
Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Second by Tom. All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Okay, so we are adjourned.